Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from the den. Legacy Internet Radio. We're back. Thank you to everybody who has been rocking with us tonight. The number is 804-402-2893. That's the number to dial if you want to be a part of tonight's discussion. We've got people who have been rocking with us on Facebook Live. And for those folks who want to be a part of tonight's discussion, of course, you can continue adding your comments in Facebook Live, where you have been adding your comments throughout the night. Feel bad that we had to run on the last segment where we're getting close to the end of the show. There's a couple of quick hits that we need to get to real quick before we get on up out of here. So first thing I want to get to, today the President of the United States said something. Now, we make jokes about him saying stupid stuff, and today he said something that was really, 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 really not smart. And I'm not going to say anything more on it. I'm just going to let you hear it. It is very brief, and then we're going to jump in, and we're going to talk about it. Here's your president, y'all. Here's what he said.
For the past 17 years, Obamacare has wreaked havoc on the lives of innocent, hardworking Americans. For the past 17 years, Obamacare has wreaked havoc on the lives of innocent, hardworking Americans. For the past 17 years, Obamacare has wreaked havoc on the lives of innocent, hardworking Americans.
All right, so let me get something straight. For the past 17 years, Obamacare has wreaked havoc. Now, we do know that President Barack Hussein Obama was a state senator 17 years ago in Illinois, right? 17 years ago was the year 2000. And if I'm not mistaken, the year 2000 was when George W. Bush was the president of the United States. So President Donald Trump, number 45, I don't know if he meant past 7 years, but you would think, now, the people that support him, they're going to say, he meant 7 years. You know what he meant. Blah, 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 blah. Damn, blah, the damn, the blah, blah, damn.
De Blasio, damn.
Yeah, all right. So a couple of really quick hits because we're running out of time. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on any of these quick topics. So this is going to be quick hits, go around the room, be done. Grizz, 17 years. Do you think he meant 7? And if he did mean 7, are you giving him a pass on misspeaking?
Not giving him a pass. He's incompetent.
Didi, do you give him a pass for misspeaking?
He could have easily have said, I mean 7.
Diva, do you give him a pass for misspeaking?
Hell no, he's the stupidest president we've ever had.
Now, is it because the
Word
room
up.
is it because the room is not pro-Trump that we are doing this? Because the reality is we've all misspoken before.
He's left little room for
always
us to
says
be
stupid
impartial,
stuff.
Mark.
That's why I said he could have just easily have said, I mean 7.
He's left no room for impartiality amongst us.
So no more benefit of the doubt.
No benefit of the doubt for
Tori,
me.
what you got?
Man, look, he did it on purpose. This is a social media president. He wanted the hits.
Right. Okay.
That's smart.
Last Thursday, Orenthal James Simpson was granted parole. A week ago, right here in this room, Jay Grizzy and SY and Q Boogie, we talked about it. We talked about whether we thought that he would get parole. I was pretty confident that he would get it. I watched it. Grizz, what was your thoughts then?
I thought he won't. I was shocked.
Yeah.
I thought he won't. I thought they was just going to sock it to him like, because he was on trumped up charges in the first place, and they were just trying to look for some get back. So, I mean, I look at it as a justice system push. It's not one way or the other. It was a push. I'm glad he out.
Why are you glad he's out?
I mean, because he did his. I mean, in this particular case, and I ain't even referring back to 94, 95. I'm just saying 9 years for a burglary of his own stuff. I mean, boom. That's in and of itself. I don't think nobody should be pulling 33 years on that.
So it was the black man. I'm happy for him never played into this for you.
Nah.
Because it played into it for some folks.
Nah, it ain't played to me because he not black, he OJ.
Didi, what you got? OJ got parole. Got any feelings or thoughts about it?
Not really. I'm quite sick of talking about him. he got time for what they think he did 20, how many years ago, however many years ago it was. That's what he got time for. Well, and being obnoxious and thinking that he could get away with it. That's what he got time for.
So he went to jail for being a jackass. Diva, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think he basically was being punished for that crime before versus the recent crime.
Right.
So I'm glad it's out just based on that injustice, you know.
Tori, what you got?
I mean, I agree with Didi. I think that basically he got that for what he did earlier, but I mean he served his time, so he got
Ain't he like 70 or something? Like,
Yeah, he's 70 years old. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Didi, a judge in Tennessee. This is judge in White County, Tennessee, Sam Bennington, says the vast majority of the cases that he hear are drug offenses. Opioid epidemics hit the state especially hard, resulting in more than 1,400 drug overdose deaths in 2015 alone. He has proposed contraception to shave off 30 days of these people's sentencing. The men are asked to get vasectomies. It is 100% voluntary, and the women are getting these implants. Now, with the women, it's temporary because we know the implant doesn't last forever, but vasectomies do. This is in Tennessee. This is what they're proposing. Fair or foul? Didi, you up first.
He's proposing it. The crime that he's proposing it for.
He's
I
proposing
think
for
it's
these
foul.
drug
Drug offenses,
yes.
wrong. Rape, child molestation. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'd go with it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, Tori. I see you making the face, bro.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I mean, you ever seen that movie Children of Men?
I
Yes.
have not. I have
Watch
not.
out, it's coming.
Yeah.
They just find it different ways.
Yeah.
Try
What
to
you-
make you acceptable to it.
What you think, Diva? You think it's okay to shave 30 days off your jail sentence to keep you from having babies for the rest of your life?
It's a control mechanism. I don't agree with that. No, I don't.
Grizz?
I just want to, because I'm a history buff, I like to harken back to the early 1900s. It's a eugenics. It's just in a different form. That's all that is. They used to sterilize the feeble, what they call, quote unquote, feeble-minded people, which were people who had mental deficiencies, so they couldn't procreate. So, no, I don't agree with it. It's wrong.
Let me.
Back it up.
Yeah,
Rewind.
I agree with the vasectomy for the crime of, again, rape, child molestation, but not to shave 30 days off of their sentence.
Right.
No, I think they should just get it, period.
Yeah, if you
But
get
for drug
convicted of that.
offenses, no, that's ridiculous. However, if it's being administered to any and every drug offender, not just blacks, but all of them, I'm kind of on the fence about it. If it's just being administered to blacks, nah, of course not.
Right.
I don't
It's
agree
not.
with the
For the
eugenics-
record, it's not.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I don't agree with the eugenics statement only because eugenics was specifically targeting the black people.
They were,
So-
but it was also it also targeted
Well, yeah,
poor
the
white
mentally,
farmers.
You're right. I take
They
that back.
also targeted, people.
Our
Like I
state
said,
was involved in
So
one
we
of the first
as a
cases
group,
about
we
it.
agree that jail sentence reduction of 30 days. Because remember, we talking about 30 days. So you want to cut my balls off so
For a
that
month.
for
30
a month?
days, yeah.
for
Like
some of a month. That's crazy.
and I said it in a very cold and crass way to illuminate the fact that you mean to tell me I'm going to jail for 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is,
And walk
all you
out.
doing is taking 30 days off my sentence,
Right.
and you gonna cut my balls off for
Right.
that? Yeah, nah. Ladies, same with y'all. I mean, y'all don't have balls, but whatever the equivalent would be, you can say it crassly if you like. That's just
Boom.
how I roll. Ain't no half step with Marcus J. Live from Den Legacy Internet Radio. Wisconsin company wants to install right-sized microchips in their employees. They want to do this so that they can scan into the building and purchase food at work. Whether or not to get the chip is up for the employee to decide.
You really believe that?
Diva.
I'm
You-
totally against that. Totally.
Grizz,
I mean, I don't believe that it's up to. I mean, what read that last
That's
statement.
control too.
they want to give you this chip so that you can scan into the building and purchase food at work, whether you get the chip or
But
not.
they're saying it's up to the employee.
It's up to the employee.
I see that. I don't believe, because if it was up to the employee, I don't see how any person in their right mind would consent to
Some
that.
folks have already
so
agreed to
they're
do it.
telling you eventually it's just like a step process.
Some folks have already agreed to do it.
Yeah, but once you
Freaking
open that
fools.
door, I agree
Yeah,
with
they
Jay Grizzly.
just
They're going to
setting it
start
up.
doing it to everybody
Sean,
during testing.
I don't agree. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Tori,
Same here. I mean, it's just trying to massage you into something like that. That's all.
Diddy.
It's food. It's for food.
So you can get in the building, so you ain't gotta do your
your badge
little
or
badge
your
thing where you
Look,
swipe.
I-
you don't got to do that no more, because
I
what
do
they
have
do
some.
is they
You got
put
a
an
comment.
implant
do have
into
some.
in between your fingers
For
so that
food.
you for food and the swipe in the building.
Well, I don't know if y'all know this, but Amazon's already done that.
Yeah.
In all your little mobile devices, certain places
Scan
you
it.
can go in as
Yeah.
long as you got your log,
Oh, yeah, I
you're
don't scan
virtually
none
logged
of
in
that,
anywhere.
Yeah.
Instead of paying for it, you go up to a register, it's connecting to your phone, and you got
Yeah.
charged for the food. But putting a chip in a body
In
for
your body.
food,
for
Well,
food.
they doing this too, where you put your finger. They have the app where you put your finger on it and it reads your fingerprint,
Yeah.
and you can clock in that way. Matter of fact, my job that I know is about to start doing that. Now, the person I work with, he said, my job already does that. He's special needs. You see what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
And I'm sitting there, and that's crazy to me, because they basically can copy your fingerprint. It's one thing to have your blood DNA, but that's DNA. Your fingerprint is you.
That's it. And you know how to start with Marcus J. live from Dan Legacy and that radio 804-402-2893. Last thing we're going to get to is the death of the Australian bride to be at the hand of the Minnesota cop, who was, quote, quite clearly, end quote, an improper use of force, according to the family's lawyer, who claims that she is also, quote, the most innocent police shooting victim, end quote, he has ever seen. Didi, he never heard of Ayanna, who was sleeping on her family's couch. He never heard of the grandma who called the police because there was some shit going on upstairs. She opened the door and the police opened fire on her. He never heard of John Crawford, who was gun shopping in the gun store in Walmart, and he got blasted by the cops. He never heard of Tamir Rice, who was playing with a toy gun in a park by himself. He clearly never heard of any of them. Now, there are some folks who are completely taking it left. I don't agree with this assessment, but I'm going to put it out there because I want the white folk who are listening, who are far-right white folk, or the black people or the thugs, y'all get what y'all deserve, white folks, when he has commented about the fact that, well, maybe she was on meth. What's she doing outside?
I saw that.
You saw that,
Oh my
Johnny?
God,
You saw that?
got
the
them.
guy completely went in,
And
I think that was inappropriate. But I completely understand where he was going, because the satire with that,
Yes.
he was showing them the shit that they do. Did he
And
pick up
they
there?
didn't get it.
They didn't get it?
Kept coming at him, you
Explain
Muslim,
it.
blah,
Explain
blah,
it. Explain
blah.
It. Explain it for the listeners.
All he was saying, and at first I was like you, I'm like, this is a little too much. But then I understood what he was doing. He made the same comments that sadly white people or the Blue Lives Matter, I shouldn't say Blue Lives Matter people, but most of the white people are saying about these black people that have been getting shot for no effing reason. He was saying the exact same thing that has been splattered out here on any social media site. He took these comments and he said the same thing, but when he said the girl could have been on meth, what was she outside in her pajamas? Who comes outside in their pajamas? It was funny, but the comments, the remarks that he was getting, it was terrible. They called him a terrorist because of his name. They called him a terrorist. But I'm like, I get it. I get what he was trying to do. And here's my thing about it. This lawyer is also the attorney for the Castile family.
Yes.
And wasn't his client, Philando Castile, wasn't he doing something very innocent? Wasn't he the passenger with his daughter in the back seat and his girlfriend driving? What did he do that wasn't innocent?
He was actually driving because the video was inverted, but
he was
the
driving.
video was
driving,
backwards. But either way, I'm with you. He was the lawyer for Philando Castile.
He was the lawyer for Philando Castile, and he to me, that was a slap in the face to the Castile family.
I look at it like this. I knew that immediately, Sean, when this happened, that this was going to be different
I did too.
because this was a white woman, and we already know how America views white women higher than they view anybody else. If you disagree with that, all you have to do is look at the missing people charts, and you can look at how white women are looked for more so than anybody else. This ain't me talking. Like do the knowledge, research this, and you can see that white women are the ones that they look for. They don't look for white men like they look for white women. They don't look for anybody else like they look for white women. They are of a higher class. Hey, look, I get it. I'm not tripping when I say this. It is what it is. It wasn't for me that she was killed by a black man. For me, she was killed by the police. When I found out that he was an African, he wasn't just a black man, but he was an African Muslim.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Where's the GoFundMe for him? Where's the well, we have to do the investigation. Where's the first?
Yeah.
Where's the we're gonna put him on administrative leave. What we're hearing is he's not talking. Why isn't he talking? What we're hearing is he's Somali. What he's hearing is his name is Muhammad. And we're talking about his past. We're talking about the stuff that he did and the investigations that are open against him as a police officer that has some issues with regards to his performance as a cop. And the only time that we're used to hearing those kinds of things in this kind of situation is when there's a black victim to a cop. Now, for me, the cops, I don't give a shit if you black or white. You're freaking blue. Okay? You're blue. You're black, you're white. KRS-One let us know, black cop, stop shooting black people. We all want to stop. You don't even get paid a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that song. So it ain't got nothing to do with the color of the shooting cop for me. Someone disagrees, the room is open, because this is the last story we're going to do before we close. 804-402-2893 is the number. And Facebook Live, y'all still here. And people who are listening later on, you can hit us up in social media, and we'll respond after the show has already been ended. But Sean, I want you to jump in here. The fact that we're talking so much about this cop and his nefarious history, and the narrative about her is, oh, she's a yoga teacher, and oh, she saved little animals out of a sewer, and oh, Dylan Roof got taken to Burger King, and oh, Dylan Roof had GoFundMe accounts, and so did Darren Wilson, who killed, Mike Brown, and all of this kind of stuff. Am I tripping?
No, you're not tripping. I'm the same. I understand what the police is supposed to represent, but I'm not a big fan of the police, especially when, I'm a very universal guy, and I've been working at a place. I've been pulled over before, and I've had coworkers and had nothing wrong. They pulled me to the back. Well, he took me out the car. He didn't have to. Then he pulled me to the back and had a conversation with me, then went in, and they asked me, why did he take you out the car? Why did he pull you to the back? And I looked at him like, are you serious? You thought it was a joke? So, and then as you get older, you have kids, and you realize it's still going on. It still make you feel some type of way. You know what I mean? It's a double standard. Me personally, it's a double standard. But for me personally, I hate to say I was hoping something like this would come out so we could understand that there is something really going on with these officers, especially, and it's really starting to come, like, it's just something going on with these police officers. It's like something's triggering inside them that they just feel like, I don't know if the training is not white. I wish they had like a more of a psychological, what's the word I'm looking for, T? Testing, yeah. Like weekly, just because I feel like they deal with, their job is hard, and at the same time, they also deal with real life issues.
And they're dealing with trauma daily.
Daily, you know what I mean? It's ruled, ever since this happened, I've heard stuff, I've always heard when the police officer come, get your license and registration ready for them, be polite, and it's like now, it's have your hands on your steering wheel. until they come up. I've never heard anything like that before. Now, the thing that get me, I am universal. I have all types of friends. And through my Facebook and through everything I hear there, and I know the stuff that they do. And they are of another race, and they always go for the police officer. And that shocks me. That shocks me. But I tell you like this, and I'm going to leave it alone. What if I was that African American that got shot? How would you feel then?
It's always going to be what if. Because remember when I played devil's advocate a few minutes ago when we were talking about the sickness in both of us going to get tested. We oftentimes don't personalize it unless it's personal.
Yeah.
And I read an article a couple of days ago about it was a black woman who has a bunch of white friends that she grew up with, but as she's gotten to be an adult, she's realized that there's certain differences and there's a certain level of trauma that she's had to endure for having white friends. Now, I'm not one that subscribes to that. This was her story.
Yes.
And the problem that I found with it was that most of the people that were responding in the comments were white people with white tears in their feelings about this black person sharing their black experience. Black people didn't comment because they either disagreed or agreed, but either way, for the most part, my guess is they understood. So there was no need to comment. But the white folks that commented had feelings about it because they were like, well, how would you say that? That's race. First of all, just because you're a black person and you mention race doesn't make you racist. Just because you're a white person and you mention race doesn't make you racist. Please misappropriate in the use of that word. If you do not have power over someone, then you cannot be a racist.
Boom.
Period. You can be a bigot, you can be an asshole, but you cannot be a racist. This was this one black girl's experience about how she grew up with white friends as a child, and when she grew up to be an adult, she found that hanging out with this person was completely different than it was when they were a child because they realized that the world was different. Doesn't mean they can't be friends anymore, but it does mean that their experiences are different and the level of support and empathy is completely different because oh my goodness, I can't believe you're upset about that. It's not that serious. Whereas inside, I'm in a rage. I'm in an absolute rage. And so that is the key and that is the difference. Grizzly's going to take the last word in the segment.
Oh, well, thank you, Marcus J. Just a little quick note. Noticed on my way to the den tonight on 95, saw a vehicle pulled over with two brothers in it. And it was a state trooper. Doesn't mean, state troopers and city cops, they all cops to me, but. And just driving, you ever drive by somebody and you glance and you see the look in their face? Like, I can't describe the words that was in that brother's face. Like, I could see the angst in his eyes. Like, and I'm doing 70 miles an hour and I just glanced over. So that just speaks. And then to give you some historical perspective as I wrap it up. White people, the way we look at the police, you gotta understand that. Now, I don't expect you to understand, but just use the word paddy wagon and what that word comes from. That word comes from a word called paddy roller. And a paddy roller was the overseer that made sure that we stayed on the plantation grounds, or if we went off the grounds without a pass, they sent out what they called the paddy rollers to round us up or to make sure we was where we were supposed to be. So that's how policing even started in the black community back in the 1800s and the 1600s and the 1700s. So historically, the relationship between policing and black people has always been there in the country. And you want to know why we feel the way we feel. It's because we've been inundated with this particular culture because it's a culture with police. It's not one bad cop, one good cop, one bad. It's the culture. You can get a good guy that wants to do right, that wants to change his community, a brother for that reason, to join the police academy, and the culture usurps him, and he ends up being a part of the problem. And that's just what I'll say about that.
No, I can dig it. I understand exactly where you're going. And a lot of times it's cultural conditioning. Our brother Joe Madison always says that we are culturally conditioned to believe that white is right.
Yup.
And the manifestation of that is that we as black people are underestimated, undervalued, and marginalized in this country. And largely, we are part of it, and we are our own worst enemy. Because if we do what we're supposed to do, a lot of that stuff won't even matter. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from the den. Legacy Internet Radio. Gonna take our final break of the night. It'll be brief. When we come back, we will rant and we will close. I am Marcus J. You are you. They are the crew. When we coming back, y'all? In a few.
I love it.